Hey everyone, I am back with another video. I know it's different. I'm trying something new. I just found out something new about my new computer. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm gonna try without my headphones in this video. If you can, let me know and I will go back to the headphones. But I know it's been a while. It has been really crazy. I actually went to a medium yesterday. It was technically like a learning experience, but she also did do a little reading. And let me just say, oh my god. Like, if you want me to, I'll actually do a follow up to that in the next video. But until then, let's continue our Savannah tour. The Davenport House is one of the most important sites in Savannah history district. It was one of the first houses in the city to be restored and at one time served as the headquarters for the historical Savannah Foundation. I cannot read today. House was built by a mysterious architect named Isaiah Davenport in 1820 to house his large family and numerous slaves. After Davenport's death, the building served as a boarding house. When his widow rented out rooms to make ends meet, the story of the Davenport house is one of a female employment. Karen Davenport had to take charge of her husband's finances and assets in order to provide for her family. She took on roles that were out of place for women in the 19th century, like selling property, handling her own finances, and setting debts. Then in 1955, the renowned house was set to be demolished. A group of 7 women bound together and fought to save the Davenport house, creating the historic Savannah Foundation in the process. Today, the Davenport house is a museum and offers tours on intriguing recreation of the yellow fever epidemic. It's also quite haunted. Despite the museum's strict no pet policy, visitors report seeing an unusual apparition of a tabby cat around the house. It tends to follow guests around, keeping a watchful eye. The ghost of a young girl also haunts the house, having been seen standing at the window or playing just outside the property. Nobody knows who this girl is, though the staff are pretty quite sure that she was a victim of yellow fever. And many tenants contracted yellow fever while building while the building was boarding house. Isaiah Davenport was a mysterious figure. There are no surviving photos of him, and a very few records are descriptions of his life. Still, as he was known as Savannah's master builder, having constructed several buildings and homes around the city. Born in Rhode Island, Davenport was an architect, fire master, alderman, constable, and member of the city's Board of Health. He kept a private life despite being an influential person. Isaiah moved to Savannah in 1808. After spending several years as a carpenter apprentice in New Bedford, Massachusetts, he met his wife Sarah that same year. He also began building his first house, the Laura Cottage on East State Street. He later got to Material Tower. If I pronounced anything wrong, I apologize in the future. On Teme Island, but that was later destroyed by the British during the Isaiah got to work building the Davenport house. Though he was from New England, Isaiah incorporated Georgia-inspired architecture into federal style mansion. Other architects of the time referred Davenport for his work. And there was no other building that who could match his skill set. At the time, many considered Davenport House to be epitome of Southern architecture. The city was contracted Davenport to build temporary shelters after the Great Savannah fire in 1820. The local government chose Davenport for his superior craftsmanship and attention to detail. He was also a trusted member of the community, being an elderman in Savannah from 1817 to 1822. Then serving as one of the city's fire masters. In 1827, Isaiah Davenport died from yellow fever at the age of 43. He was initially buried at the Colonial Park Cemetery and was later exhumed and moved to the Laurel Grove Cemetery. Isaiah left behind a wife and several children. The couple initially had 10 children, but only 6 were still alive by the time Isaiah died. Now a widow, Sarah was charged with taking care of her 6 children, several unfinished construction projects, unpaid debt, and numerous properties that have been looked after. Not to mention the large home that she was left with. Sarah had to move beyond the status of a typical woman in the 19th century and take on roles that would normally be reserved for men. Sarah had a few options for income. Sewing and teaching weren't going to pay the bills, so she began renting out rooms at the Davenport house. They rented out her slaves as well. In order to pay off her husband's debt, she sold several of his properties and paid taxes which were owed. She oversaw the construction of Isaiah's sawmill, which remained on her limits after her husband's death. Not only was Sarah able to remain financially stable without her husband, she actually prospered. She brought the 3 more slaves after Isaiah died, indicating her financial success. While this is definitely a story of a female empowerment, Sarah was also to take on these roles because of her preference status. Her late husband's position in society, her wealth, the large property, and ownership of slaves are what allowed her to achieve prosperity. Sarah sold the Davenport house in 1840. The Bayan family for $8,000. The Bayan family held onto the house for over a century, finally selling it sometime in the 1940s. The Bayan had abandoned the home long before that though. In the 1930s, the house had become run down, and the neighborhood had become seedy. Despite several of neglect, many still reward the home as and recognized it for architectural beauty. New surveyors listed it as in the Historical American Building Survey, despite that it weakened them. In the 1950s, the Davenport house was set to be demolished. 7 women bound together and petitioned the city to stop the demolition and raise funds to purchase the house. These same women went on to found the Historical Savannah Foundation no historic home in Savannah without any no there's no historical home without any Savannah historical home without any spirits. In this department, the Davenport house is pretty tame, yet a few spectral guests can still call the place home. In addition to the few ghosts with few reside in the home, many claim to have had a few unexplained paranormal activity. Phantom footsteps are often heard around the home, as are demolished, disembodied voices. Others have claimed to feel unnaturally cold areas inside the house. A gray, hazy mist is also known to appear near the gift shop, and those who have seen it say it takes an unsteadily humanoid shape. Okay, if I saw that, I would be freaked out and in awe at the same time. Like, I have seen a few things in life, especially my last trip to Gettysburg, and I don't even know how to explain half the things that I've seen and witnessed. It was beyond words. Let's just say that. Especially at the Eisenhower Bridge, which is also known as the Suicide Bridge. That I want to go back to that. That was weird. Hopefully, if we go back to that place, it's not raining. I mean, it wasn't bad rain, but it was enough to be like, really? The house favorite The house favorite is definitely the ghost of the cat that has been spotted in the building. Nobody knows who the cat belonged to or when it arrived at the building, but it's here to stay. The orange and white tabby cat has been known to randomly appear as it follows the museum tour guide, seemingly walking through the walls from one room to the next one. It also keeps a watchful eye on cats, making sure there aren't any troublemaking stragglers. Some pets are fooled into thinking the cat is just a pet until it disappears before their eyes. That would be kind of creepy. I love animals, don't get me wrong, but if I see a dog or a cat or any animal for that matter, and I think it's just actual pet or an animal, and then it disappears, I mean, y'all on your own. The cat seems to have an attraction to small children, seemingly being quiet, friendly with kids. Some some pets claim that their children often call to an invisible animal and were sometimes seen stroking the air as if they were petting the cat. The ghost of the young girl is also known to inhabit the property. She is usually seen standing in the windows of the second floor or playing in the front yard. One of the occasions, the museum guests saw her playing in the attic, believing her to be a real girl who had gotten separated from her group. They sent the museum staff to explore the house and look for her, being worried for the young girl's safety. She was then seen playing in the front yard before vanishing into thin air. I just about themselves. I mean, it is cold, so and with the air isn't on, that's weird. Oh well. The museum staff has researched the girl's true identity, but they have yet to come to a conclusion. The Davenport family lost four of their children, and countless families came out and went during the building days as a boarding home. Yellow fever was rampant at the time, and many speculate the young girl was a victim of the disease. Thank you for watching my channel and video. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I am Haunted Girl, and I'll speak to you later. Until next time, pleasant dreams.